George.
You're very white.
So it will be interesting to see how the
na thengio guo ni kuma hau ni tuli andu macaguritwo andu kuma 30 nginya 50 macaguritwo maratathi kura iria cikeirio candidate wa MP ticio cikeirio kana iria cikitio ni macini-ini kana andu aria metarire ni moka guikia kura kana ni kuiganana.
Kenya shillings 100 please. Fura. Subsidy program. What?
Waisto hema idho kidogo.
Wewe, dai. Mtioge moru taragi.
Ito kamera.
Are we go ahead?
Yes.
Fortunately, in Kiambu, we went to elections and everybody was optimistic that we're going to get the leaders that we deserve. Unfortunately, there is a lot of some candidates who hijacked the process and right from the polling station, we had malpractices in the elections. And more so in the gubernatorial seat where I was a candidate.
I've taken action, and as you see, I have reported these illegalities and irregularities to the DCI, so they are doing their own investigations. I have also given this letter to County Returning Officer, Mr. Arnold Muturi. I've just delivered that letter to him and have said everything, including the stations that the illegalities were happening. So that so this is not just a generalization of accusation. No, I've even told him where these things happened. In fact, one of these complaints has been acted on in Rari. One of the presiding officers, he brought a box without Form 37A, and when he was called to come and answer those whatever, he said he's in Kitui. So he was located where they were, she was, and right now she is in cell because she cannot explain the whereabouts of Form 37A. Now we don't know whether that box is from Rari or from Naivasha or from Nakuru. We don't know. It's just a box with some boats. So these are the irregularities and illegalities we are talking about. So this is what I'm saying, that these things are real. Yes, you are not just complaining. These are real. And you know me, I'm not the complaining person. But you know what? We are talking about 1.2 million voters. We carry their dream. If they wanted Jago to be their governor, then yes, he needs to be their governor. They should not get a governor they never elected. And what we are demanding right now, according to my letter, is number one, those illegalities and irregularities must be noted. Number two, those boxes, wherever they are, must be taken care of. Number three, I demand a recount for the benefit of Kiambu people who I represent.
It is signed by everyone, but unfortunately, it has no data. You can see there are no votes inside that form. So it means that our people were compromised, the POs were already compromised, and they just wanted a signed form and then they would distribute whatever figures they want. That is why you see some people have 0-0, and some people have got almost 99% of the votes casted in that particular polling station. So if you go to another one, you can see that my votes, 200 and something, were cancelled and given to somebody else. Okay? And then you can see the first row, where the first candidate was supposed to have his votes. Is 0, is nothing. The first row has nothing. And then the second one has 0-0. And the third one, which is myself, I was supposed to have, you can see it is a 300 and something. It was cancelled and the 3 was made to a 0. And down there, now the UDA candidate was given my votes. And you can see, shamelessly, they just cancel on that form. And then they do, and they write their own thing. Yeah? So it's shame, and it is also stamped, IEBC. Yeah? And this stamp is for the deputy clerk. You can see that. I mean, deputy PO, DPO. And if you look at where we are supposed to sign here, so basically again, yeah, this form, they omit some people, so only some people would sign in this form. You find that some of these forms are actually signed by MCA agents, while they were supposed to have been signed by gubernatorial agents. Irregularities and illegalities is crazy, I can tell you this. Cancellations. In fact, what I'm showing you here is just a tip of the iceberg. Just a tip of the iceberg. All these are cancellations. All these are cancellations. So, just the tip of the iceberg, but the biggest, I can tell you the biggest risk is not even here. The biggest risk is on the forms that were filled properly without cancellations, but actually those were not there. The distribution was done because people were compromised. So that is the biggest. This is a letter that I have written to DCI, and I explained to the DCI what kind of issues and illegalities that we are having. So this is a letter. I complained, it's a complaint section. So I complained to the DCI, and DCI has taken this very, very seriously. And basically, most likely, you are going to see people going to jail, or rather people getting interrogated, because, again, the law says, apart from having this responsibility resting with IEBC, the particular employee bears responsibility. So basically, let me also advise and address those IEBC officials that are being used to do this kind of a job. Please be ready. The government is coming for you. Authorities are coming for you. You cannot do an illegality and sit pretty because you think IEBC is going to carry your burden. No, your burden belongs to you, and the authorities will come for you. Definitely, that is the idea. So whatever they do today or tomorrow or the day after, either they declare him as a governor. Again, we have joined hands with all the other candidates. By the way, all the other candidates, because they feel totally aggrieved like I am. So, and it does not matter whether you lost or you won. All what we want to know is what our rightful votes. So, number one, we have agreed that we are going to join hands and we are going to court to have an injunction so that we can be able to demand for a recount. And number two, if need be, then we will go for a petition. But recount first, we want to know how many votes do we have? How many votes were we given by our people?
In Kiambu County, are perturbed by the way IEBC conducted elections during the voting and subsequent tallying of votes in Kiambu in this general election. We have recorded instances where there were process failures, including one. On the eve of the election, our chief agents were denied badges that would have given them access to the polling stations early the next morning. We had to call the CRO, the chief returning officer, several times for him to prevail upon the returning officers to issue the badges to our chief agents. Some were issued, others were not. When the polling started the next day, again, our agents practically across the whole county were denied entry into the polling stations by the POs, that's presiding officers. I personally, speaking on my behalf, I made over 15 calls, and we have evidence to that extent, to the CRO, while my running mate made over 20 calls to the returning officers to rectify the situation and allow our agents access as is required by law. There were instances where our agents were denied entry as long as 4 or 5 hours. We actually have evidence to the effect that 2 stations within the county did not allow our agents to access the polling stations the whole day, with the POs telling them that the stations were ostensibly fully occupied. In a situation where voting goes ahead in the forced absence of one set of agents, then a process failure automatically results, and subsequent results are obviously not free and fair. We have reported incidences in Raleigh where some parties alleged that some Form 37A, that's for the governor, were not inserted in the ballot box. As a result, the IEBC officials opened the box ostensibly to check whether the forms were inside. Question is, under what circumstance do you open a ballot box? Who should be there to witness such an action? And in the first place, why was Form 37A missing in the ballot box? This happened in 2 instances in Kimende area, which means many more irregularities may have occurred across the county. What are the implications of this? The matter was reported to the police and DCI, and a statement made whose copy is in our possession. It has also been reported and confirmed that in one constituency, over 10,000 votes were cast in favor of Azimio candidate were counted as UDA votes. How many more instances occurred across the county? How many more votes were erroneously counted and given to the wrong candidate? What's the implication of such deliberate, careless action? It is also perturbing to note that a high number of votes, close to 300,000, allegedly cast votes for presidential candidate but did not vote for either governor, women rep, or senator. It goes beyond the 300,000 votes for Kiambu. What we have now is close to 1 million votes across the Mount Kenya region that have been cast to the presidential candidate but cannot be traced to either the governor, senator, or women rep position. And the question we are asking is the same. How do you get 6 ballot papers? Mark only 1. 5 are either lost and we don't know where. They cannot be accounted for. What would be the implications of that? As you can remember, that was a question also that was raised in 2017. And as a result of that, the court ruled that the elections were not free and fair. That is of concern to us. All we want to tell Kiambu people that the process that has been undertaken so far does not reflect their choice. I think that's the first thing to say, and we have said it very categorically. Out of the instances that we have quoted here, we cannot be able to recognize the leaders as announced by IEBC. That's the first thing. The second thing is automatic. We'll take the necessary action with the evidence that is in our possession.
What has happened completely disenfranchises the people of Kiambu, because this is not what they woke up to do or to witness on the 9th of August, just about a couple of days ago. On my part, I have instances where ballot boxes pertaining to the senatorial election had either broken seals, or some of them literally had been punctured, which perhaps indicates that somebody had done that deliberately to give them an opportunity to insert or stuff ballot boxes. There's even one other instance where in one sub-county where one of my competitors had just about 15,000 votes. But at the final tally, another 30,000 were added, bringing it a total to about 46,000. So these are among some of the irregularities that we are trying to bring out. And we continue to gather more evidence, and I'm sure we shall be coming back to you so that we, as we chart our way forward.
When we go to Kiambu constituency, that is Moshadha, Gasharage Primary School, the women results were not found, and the PU also was not found. And the same with Kikuyu constituency, the PU also got lost with the results. And so the Kikuyu constituency women rep results were not announced at the tallying center. And so that one makes us to wonder what is getting read today at the KIST, County Returning Officers Tallying Center. Among all that, at Kikuyu there were also concerns from our agents that there were people who were given 2 ballot papers. And we have these notes with us from our agents, and we are ready to have it processed further.
One of the IBC officers, it was not even a clerk, a ballot issuing clerk, it was a deputy presiding officer who was caught red-handed by one of our agents issuing 2 ballots. I called the returning officer, Kikuyu. She told me that she never knew anything about it. And then she said that she was rushing to Derry Secondary. But by the end of the day, she did nothing about it. We had a similar case still in Kid Pharmaco Primary. The Derry case, they took the 2 ballots and they put them in an envelope, but they never acted on it because the very same officer of the IBC still continued to work in the very same polling stations. Then we had other issues about crossing of the ballot boxes in various stations like Gesharani Primary, where the ballot boxes were not crossed until the following morning, because their main issue, according to our agents, was to reduce the number of ballots which they had added into those boxes. Gesharani was one of them. Geteva Primary in Karide, that is Karai Ward, was another station where the ballot boxes were not closed for 8 hours. To come to the results in Kikuyu constituency, when the returning officer was issuing out results, there was a foreign name in the Form 35B for the Member of Parliament. Somebody by the name of Wamboi, and Mary Ann Wamboi was in the Form 35B until when we complained. And this particular candidate had been awarded 28,000 votes, which were later diverted to the incumbent, Kimani Ichung'wah, and they changed the Form 35B. So, yesterday, I happened to go to the tallying center because I did not believe what was in what the Kimskites were talking about and what was in the ballot boxes. These were 2 different things. I demanded to be availed the Kimskit, what is there, and also what was in the ballot boxes. But the returning officer was very ignorant. I have the video of the same. He never answered any of the questions. She just told me that I was supposed to raise these issues at the polling stations, of which I had already done. But she never responded about what I had questioned about the polling stations and what was there in the ballot boxes.
Indicate here that I'm not in agreement with the results as per Kiambu constituency. First of all, my chief agent, together with my agents, were allowed access to the polling stations over 2 hours into the exercise. I called the RO. I asked her, please give my people access. That is when she called her people to give access after struggling for 2 hours. People had already started voting. They told me that the first 150 people, my agents confessed to me that the first 150 people, they were already documented people that will come and vote in a sequence. And these people voted between 5:30 and 6. Those people voted double ballot papers. And when these people voted is when you are allowed not anybody else to come in. And after that lot of 150 people voted, which is equating to 300. And if you look at Kiambu, the so-called winner has left everybody else with above 300 votes in each stream polling station. He has a head start of 300 votes. Can it be, surely can it be that across the whole of Kiambu, that there was 300 in every polling station? Towards, and then that doubles up to go to up to the evening. There was no turnout. The only turnout was between 5 or 4:30 and 5:30. Where were those people? Okay? And then after that, in the evening, the clerks, the POs, they kicked everybody out and only left the so-called UDA observers in those polling stations. Those are the people that were left inside there, that they want to take a break. That they're seeking to take a break. That was a very big issue, because at that point, when they were counting, my agents told them, they pick the paper and they say, Damaris, Madam Tanya, Damaris, like that. But when they were picking my paper and announcing it in somebody else's name, when my agents tried to raise the issue, they were kicked out. Because my agent would pick and say, Damaris, Madam Tanya. But when they said, no, that is not for Madam Tanya, that is for Damaris, they were being kicked out. There has been very serious issues that have gone on. We are very sure, and I am very certain, that my votes were counted in somebody else's ballot.